-5 ability to put target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and a -11 ability to gain control of all creatures target opponent controls. She costs 6 mana, 4, a blue, and a black to cast. Very cool. I was excited about some of those abilities. She'd be really great in a Reanimator deck. And then inside, so inside we have some stuff. We have two Theros Beyond Death packs, which we can get into. But let's get into the actual deck itself. So, in this 60 card deck, we have one copy of Gravebreaker Lamia. It's a 4/4 enchantment creature. Snake costs 5 mana, 4 and a black to cast. It has lifelink. When Gravebreaker Lamia enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 1 less to cast. And then we have 2 copies of Ashiok's Forerunner. It is Flash. When Ashiok's Forerunner enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Ashiok Sculptor of Fears. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. And then we have an Elite Instructor. Elite Instructor. When Elite Instructor enters the battlefield, draw a card, then discard a card. It's a human wizard creature. Costs 3 mana, 2 and a blue to cast, with 2 power and 2 toughness. Next, we have a full art Temerit, Chosen of Death, which costs 2 mana to cast. It's a legendary enchantment creature, demigod. His toughness is equal to your devotion to black. And then he has an ability which is 2 mana, 1 and a black to cast. Exile up to 2 target cards from your graveyards. You gain 1 life for each creature exiled this way. He has 2 power. We have another copy of Elite Instructor. 3 copies of Towering Wave Mystic. It's a merfolk wizard creature that costs 2 mana, 1 and a blue to cast. Whenever Towering Wave Mystic deals damage, target player puts that many cards from the top of their library into their graveyard. It's 2 power and 1 toughness. Next we have 2 copies of Farika's Spawn. Costs 4 mana, 3 and a black to cast. It's a Gorgon creature with an escape cost of 6 mana, 5 and a black, and 3 cards to be exiled from your graveyard to cast it from your graveyard. Farika's Spawn escapes with 2+1/+1 counters on it. When it enters the battlefield this way, each opponent sacrifices a non-Gorgon creature. 3 power and 4 toughness. We have 3 copies of Underworld Charger. Costs 3 mana, 2 and a black to cast. It's a nightmare horse creature. Underworld Charger can't block. It has an escape cost of 5 mana, 4 and a black to cast. Exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. Underworld Charger escapes with 2+1/+1 counters on it. It's a 3 power and 3 toughness. Next we have Devourer of Memory, which costs 2 mana, a blue and a black to cast. It's a nightmare creature. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into your graveyard from your library, Devourer of Memory gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can be blocked this turn. Just trying to get these in focus for you. cast. Put the top card of your library into your graveyard. 3 copies of Swimmer in Nightmares. Costs 3 mana, 2 and a blue to cast. It's a creature nightmare where Merfolk. Swimmer in Nightmares gets +3/+0 as long as there are 10 or more cards in a single graveyard. Swimmer in Nightmares can't be blocked as long as you control Ashiok Planeswalker. 1 power, 4 toughness. 4 copies of Mindrack Harpy. Costs 4 mana, 3 and a black to cast. It's an enchantment creature harpy. It has flying. At the beginning of each combat, on your turn, each player puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. It's 3 power and 2 toughness. This deck comes with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 islands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 swamps and 2 unknown shores. Unknown shores are a basic land. You can tap it to add 1 colorless mana, or you can pay 1 mana and tap it and add 1 mana of any color. It's an interesting card. That does it for your mana pool. Next we have our instants and sorceries. So we have 2 copies of Glimpse of Freedom. It's an instant, costs 2 mana, colorless, and a white to cast, to draw a card, and it has an escape cost of 3 mana, 2 and a blue, and you have to exile 5 other cards from your graveyard to cast it from your graveyard. Next we have Sleep of the Dead, which costs 1 blue mana to cast. It's a sorcery. Tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Its escape cost is 3 mana, 2 and a blue, and exiling 3 other cards to cast it from your graveyard. And there's 3 copies of it, actually. I don't know if I said that. I might have just said 2. Next we have 2 copies of Final Death, which cost 5 mana, 4 and a black to cast. To exile target creature. It's an instant. Next we have 2 copies of Funeral Rites, which is a sorcery. Costs 3 mana, 2 and a black to cast. You draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, and put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. And then the last 2 cards of the deck are Mire's Grasp, or 2 copies of Mire's Grasp, which cost 2 mana, 1 and a black to cast. It's an enchantment aura, and you enchant a creature. Enchanted creature gets -3. -3. That'd be a pain in the ass. And then the last cards are how I can redeem it in the store, so I will be hanging on to that. No giveaways, unfortunately, everybody. But at some point, maybe if I haven't, enough subscribers or followers or whatever, maybe at some point in the future I can actually do some sort of giveaway or something so that, someone lucky out there will be able to benefit from these pack openings and stuff. But yeah, that about does it for the deck overall. I really like the way this deck looks. I like that, I like reanimator decks. I like playing things from out of the graveyard, and this looked like it would play pretty well, so I'm excited to give it a shot. See how it goes. legendary Merfolk Artificer creature. You can tap it and add 2 colorless mana. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. Equipped creatures you control have flying and haste. He has 2 power and 4 toughness. And then we got a mountain and a Sarter. Alright, we have a Traveler's Amulet, Underworld Charger, Sentinel's Eyes, Wings of Hubris, Sleep of the Dead, Skola Grove Dancer, Thirst for Meaning, Omen of the Forge, Nylea's Forerunner, Dreadful Apathy, Daxus Blessed by the Sun, costs 2 white mana. It's a legendary enchantment creature. Demigod, Daxus' toughness is equal to your devotion to white. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life, 2 power, and asterisk, obviously toughness based on your devotion to white. Very cool card. Blood Aspirant. And actually we're going to set him off to the side. Blood Aspirant. Rise to Glory costs 5 mana, 3, a white and a black to cast. It's a sorcery. Choose one or both. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, or return target aura card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then we have Temple of Abandon, which is a land. Enters tapped, and when it enters you can scry 1, and you can add either a mountain or a forest mana. And then we got a forest mana and a Sarter. So yeah, that does it for everything we got in the deck. So thanks everybody for taking the time to hang out, and